Have you ever noticed how two people can look at the exact same situation and see completely different things? One person sees a challenge, while the other sees an opportunity. The facts on the ground have not changed one bit. The only thing that is different is the lens through which they're viewing the world. This subtle but powerful shift influences our lives every single day, often without us even realizing it is happening. It is a quiet force that shapes our feelings, our decisions, our understanding of reality itself, all based on how information is presented to us.
Welcome back to Critical Thinking Secrets, the channel that gets you to think, well, critically.
Let's, look at a very clear example. Imagine a doctor is discussing a new surgical procedure. The doctor could tell you, with complete honesty, that the procedure has an impressive 90% success rate. Hearing this, you would likely feel a sense of relief and optimism. You would focus on the high probability of a positive outcome and feel confident in moving forward. The number feels reassuring, painting a picture of hope and security. This framing highlights the gain, the bright side of the statistical coin, encouraging a specific, positive emotional response that makes the choice seem easy and straightforward. Now, consider the very same doctor, with the very same set of facts, phrasing it differently. This time, the doctor says, "You should know that with this procedure, there is a 10% chance of failure." Suddenly, the emotional landscape shifts dramatically. The feeling is no longer one of hope, but one of anxiety and risk. Your mind immediately latches onto the possibility of being in that unfortunate 10%, that small group for whom things go wrong. The fact is, identical a 90% success rate is the flip side of a 10% failure rate. But the feeling is worlds apart. This demonstrates the core power of framing. This simple contrast reveals a fundamental truth about human psychology and communication. The words we choose are not just empty containers for facts. They are active tools that paint a picture, evoke an emotion, and guide a decision. They create a frame around the information, and that frame dictates how we interpret what is inside. The same fact, presented through a positive frame of gain, feels safe and appealing. Presented through a negative frame of loss, it feels dangerous and frightening. This effect is not a logical error, but a deep-seated part of how our brains process the world around us. So, what exactly is this powerful phenomenon? In simple terms, framing is the way information is presented to us. The framing effect, then, is the resulting difference in our choices and judgments that arises purely from how that information is packaged: words, images, contexts. It is the art and science of emphasis. By highlighting certain aspects of a message while downplaying others, the communicator can steer the audience's attention and, consequently, their reaction. It works because we do not evaluate information in a vacuum. We evaluate it within the context or frame that is provided to us. One of the most common types of framing is gain versus loss framing. A message can emphasize what a person stands to gain by making a certain choice. Advertisements promising brighter teeth, advertisements promising more energy. A message can emphasize what a person stands to lose by not making that choice. For example, a public health campaign warning that smoking takes years off your life. People prefer gain messages in low-risk situations but shift to loss-framed messages when they perceive a threat. Another powerful type is visual framing. It goes beyond words to use imagery and tone. Imagine a news report about a protest, framed as a vibrant community gathering, or framed as a chaotic, dangerous riot. Depending on the camera angle and shot, you'll either picture a large, organized crowd under a bright sun, peaceful, positive, or a mob of angry faces, the air filled with tension, creating fear. Visual elements. Light color composition construct a frame that tells us how to feel about the facts. These techniques are not random, stylistic choices. They are deliberate strategies to elicit a particular response. Choice to frame as a gain, frame as a loss, present in bright light, present in dark light, is a decision about the emotional story. Describing a policy as protecting 95% of forests. Describing the same policy as allowing destruction of 5% of forests. Same numbers, different story and public reaction. The frame becomes the message. The reason framing has such a profound impact on us lies in the way our brains are wired. To navigate a complex world filled with constant information, our minds have developed mental shortcuts known as heuristics. These shortcuts allow us to make quick judgments and decisions without having to perform a deep, exhaustive analysis. While incredibly useful for everyday life, helping us decide what to eat when to cross the street, these shortcuts also make us highly susceptible to the influence of framing. The frame provides a ready-made context that our brain can quickly latch onto. Emotion plays a huge role in this process. Framing often works by triggering an immediate emotional response, such as fear, hope, anger, excitement. When a news headline is framed as a crisis, it sparks fear and urgency. When a product is framed as the key to happiness, it generates desire. These emotional reactions can often override our more rational, analytical thought processes. Instead of stopping to carefully weigh the pros and cons, our feelings push us toward the conclusion suggested by the frame. The emotional tag attached to the information becomes more important than the information itself. This is where a concept from behavioral economics called prospect theory becomes incredibly useful. Simply put, prospect theory suggests that we do not judge outcomes based on their absolute value, but on their potential gains or losses relative to a starting point. A core part of this theory is loss aversion. The pain of losing something is about twice as powerful emotionally as the pleasure of gaining the same thing. For example, the sting you feel from losing a $20 bill is far more intense than the joy you feel from finding one. This built-in bias toward avoiding loss is a goldmine for framing. Because we are so sensitive to potential losses, any message framed to highlight risk or a negative outcome will grab our attention. A politician warning of job losses under a rival's plan will trigger a stronger emotional reaction than one promising job growth under their own. The fear of losing what we already have is a more powerful motivator than the hope of gaining something new, making loss framing one of the most effective tools of persuasion. Framing in the wild, everyday examples. Once you start looking for it, you will see framing at work absolutely everywhere. The world of marketing and shopping is a prime example. When you walk down a grocery aisle, you are bombarded with frames. A package of ground beef proudly labeled 95% fat-free sounds healthy and appealing. You focus on the large percentage that is good for you. However, another package right next to it, containing the exact same product, could be labeled contains 5% fat. This frame, while factually identical, directs your attention to the negative component, making the product sound far less healthy and desirable. The political arena is another hotbed of strategic framing. Political language is rarely just about conveying facts, it is about shaping public opinion. Consider the debate over government spending. One party might frame a reduction in the budget as, necessary spending cuts to achieve fiscal responsibility. A frame that sounds painful but responsible. The opposing party might call the very same policy devastating cuts to essential services. A frame designed to evoke fear and anger about potential losses to healthcare, education, infrastructure. The choice of savings versus cuts can completely alter public support for a policy. Healthcare decisions are also deeply influenced by framing, as our doctor example showed. A public health campaign trying to encourage sunscreen use could frame its message around a gain. Use sunscreen to maintain healthy, youthful skin. This positive framing appeals to our desire for a good outcome. Alternatively, it could use a loss frame. Not using sunscreen increases your risk of getting skin cancer. This negative framing leverages our fear of a terrible outcome. Depending on the target audience and the perceived level of risk, one of these frames will be significantly more persuasive than the other. Finally, the news media plays a critical role as a framer of public discourse. A story about rising immigration can be framed as an economic issue, focusing on labor and growth. It could also be framed as a humanitarian crisis, focusing on the plight of refugees. Or it could be framed as a national security threat, focusing on border control. Each frame uses different language, highlights different experts, and shows different images, leading audiences to form vastly different opinions about the same underlying event. The frame doesn't just report the news, it tells us what the news means. Seeing the frame, how to take back control. The influence of framing can feel overwhelming, as if we are puppets pulled by invisible strings of language and imagery. Being aware of the phenomenon is the first step to mitigating it. The key is to break the spell of immediate emotion and engage your analytical mind. To do this, you can follow 3 simple steps. 1. Slow down. When a message triggers a strong emotion, fear, anger, excitement, pause before you react, pause before you share, pause before you decide. That pause creates room for critical thinking. 2. Look for facts. Try to separate the data from the drama. Ask, what are the actual numbers? 95% fat-free, 5% fat, 90% employment, 10% unemployment. Identify the neutral fact at the center. Strip away the emotional packaging. Find the noun behind the adjective. 3. Reframe. Take the statement and say the same fact a different way. Headline: Economic downturn threatens thousands of jobs. Reframe. Majority of workforce remains employed amid economic shift. Does changing the words change how you feel? If yes, you found a frame. This exercise helps you spot manipulation and builds your mental muscles. It's like learning to see in a new dimension. Understanding framing gives you a tool for clearer thinking. It's not about distrusting everything, it's about approaching information with curiosity. Next time you see an advertisement, a political speech, or while you scroll your newsfeed, watch the words, watch the images, watch the emotions. Ask, who built the frame and what do they want you to see? Take a moment to look at the frame itself and step outside to make your own choice. 1. Slow down. 2. Look for facts. 3. Reframe.
And if you want to boost your critical thinking skills, become smarter and make better decisions, I thought you did. Then get the Critical Thinking Toolkit, a powerful resource packed with checklists, mental models, and practical guides to help you avoid mistakes and sharpen your reasoning skills. Stop wasting time on bad decisions and start thinking with clarity. Grab your copy now, link in the description below. Thanks again for joining us today. Enjoyed this video? Thought so. For a more in-depth analysis, visit our website, www.criticalthinkingsecrets.com, to read the full article.
Please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you stay up to date with our latest weekly release content. We have over 400 videos on our channel too. Help kickstart your critical thinking journey. Also, as an added bonus, just for supporting our channel, you can download our free critical thinking ebook. So go ahead and click the link below. Till next time, keep those critical thinking gears turning.